Hello everyone, welcome to Seasoned and Smart. Today we have a very informational show which is wonderful for our audience. The topic today is the Massachusetts Medline. We're going to call it MassMedLine. And our guest is Donna Bartlett. She is a clinical pharmacist. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you.
From the Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. I wanted to give the whole title so everybody will know what we're talking about. Today we're going to be focusing, it's a very important organization that provides services for adults of any age. Isn't that correct? And that's the MassMedLine from the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. It's an outreach program, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And it's a community project in collaboration with Greater Lynn Senior Services. We'll be showing some graphics as we go along on the screen, so you'll be able to get some information. Donna is a registered pharmacist, like I said, with the program, and it's great to have you with us. I know that you're involved with outreach in this area, and we're lucky to have that available. That's a big part of it. People like to see people in person and be able to get the information. Before we start talking about the project, I'm sure our viewers would like to know something about you. How did you get into pharmacy? What drew you to that field, and what do you like best about your job?
Well, pharmacy started for me really in 8th grade. My math teacher turned around in class one day, pointed at me and said, "Pharmacist."
Really?
And I was really surprised and didn't really give it a thought.
Yeah.
And then later on, I went to college for 4 years. I had a chemistry degree, and then continued on later on as a and got my pharmacy degree. So it was a long way of getting there, but
Wow.
I often think back to that day in 8th grade
Isn't that amazing,
when
though?
my math teacher had said that to me.
He had
So,
something that he knew about you that would really
absolutely.
click. Isn't that marvelous?
So it was, and it was a seed that he definitely planted.
Yeah, that's right.
So, so as a pharmacist, I've so enjoyed working with people, helping them with their medication questions, and it's been very enjoyable for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. How long have you been a pharmacist?
I've been a pharmacist for 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm currently taking more classes now and going towards my Doctor of Pharmacy.
Oh, isn't that great? So, wow, good for you.
Thank you.
Do it now.
Yes.
Do it now. So now we're going to talk about the mission of the collaboration with the Executive Office of Elder Affairs and with us, Greater Lynn Senior Services. And I know we have some funding that comes from our Title III program that we're involved with you.
Correct.
And the EOEA. Tell us, we're going to, like I say, there's the graphic up there. Tell us what we do, what happens with the MassMedLine. How would you access the MassMedLine? We're talking to our audience, so
Sure.
What do they need to do to get to the MassMedLine?
Sure. Well, just a little bit about how we got started at MassMedLine. The school started in the 1800s, and Mass College of Pharmacy now has 3 campuses. We're in Boston, in Worcester, and in Manchester, New Hampshire. And it's the Worcester campus that actually houses MassMedLine, which is now the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences Pharmacy Outreach Program. And with that, we have worked closely. Charles Monahan, our president, worked very closely with state legislators in Massachusetts in finding a way to help residents with the cost of medications.
Oh boy, that's big.
So in 2001, the program began. And with that program, we first started off as pharmacy assistance programs. So when people were unable to afford their medications, they would call MassMedLine, and we would find the pharmacy assistance programs that were available through manufacturers. Well, things have changed over the years, and as you well know, the Medicare Modernization Act of 2003 began, and Medicare Part D was born. And with that, many more programs have come around with how we can help out folks with their cost of their medications. So how someone would contact us is we have a toll-free number. We are available for anybody in the state of Massachusetts, no matter the age. So even if someone's having difficulty affording medications for their child, we can certainly help in that situation as well.
Is great.
So there is a toll-free number.
And I think that'll be shown, and hopefully it's up there now, which it is.
Great. So you would access us either through that toll-free number. We are also available online at MassMedLine.com. There is a feature there called Ask the Pharmacist, and you can go on there, ask a question.
Click on that, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I understand that a few weeks ago you did host a program down at St. Stephen's Towers in Lynn, which we'll be showing some of the folks that were down there. And I guess you did provide a wealth of information for folks. That's what I hear. One of the areas you highlighted was the Medicare Part D. And I understand about this program because we work with it and help folks get this program. But it's been a difficult road. It really has. We're right in the middle of enrollment right now, as of course you know, and our audience, some folks in the audience may know. And it is open enrollment until December 31st, which means if somebody is not really sure that they're getting the right program for their Part D, they're able to change that at this point. Do you help folks do that when they call you on the Medline?
Yes, that's a big part of our program. Oh. We are really maxed right now with phone calls.
I may call you.
It's a very busy time, so please be patient. But what's important to know about Medicare Part D in general is that it changes every year. You could be perfectly happy with your plan this year, and it would be covering all of your medications, decent co-payments, maybe no deductible, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be that way next year.
Right.
So it is so important to review your plan every year. Another roadblock or problem that people come up against too is they think, oh, my friend is very happy with this Medicare Part D plan. I think I'll switch to that.
Yeah.
But they're not on the same medications as their friend or as their spouse, and it might not always be the best program or the best Medicare Part D plan for them.
This is great because, I mean, it is confusing for elders. It's confusing for anyone who's going to try to enroll in it.
Absolutely.
It really is. So if a person calls you, what they'll do is of course, you'll ask them the information about what medications are they on.
Right. Important things that we need to know is your name, your address, date of birth. We also need to, it's very helpful if we have your Medicare information, which is your Medicare claim number and your effective date on Medicare. And the reason for that is that we can find you in the Medicare system so that we understand if you have any special extra help or other types of subsidy. And that's important when we're looking for a plan because it changes the prices dramatically. The other things that we need are your medication list. The best medication list are ones that have the strength and quantity of how many you take each day as well. So all that information together, we can get that information. We can check to see, one, are your medications covered? Are there any prior authorizations or quantity limits or step therapy, which are all things that are very complicated, and can be roadblocks for you getting your medications that you need.
Exactly.
And then we'll also look at what's the co-payment. A co-payment on one plan for one medication can be dramatically different with another plan.
Right.
So it's the way that the tier system is for the medications.
Right.
And it's very complicated.
It is.
And we're there to help with that. We're there to sort it all out and say, this plan works. It covers your meds. These are the co-payments. And it's very helpful.
And then what about enrolling? What does the person need to do to actually enroll?
Sure. Enrolling it can be as simple as a phone call. We will provide phone numbers for the plan that you might want to choose after speaking with us, and you would call that plan directly and enroll right over the phone. You can also enroll directly with Medicare as well. And granted, people do often complain it's such a long wait because it's this time of year. But do know that Medicare is a 24/7 number. There are always people there around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you are able to call at an off hour, it might benefit you.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing is that you can enroll online as well. And I know not everybody has access to the internet, but sometimes a son or a daughter or caregiver, someone could help with that.
Help them should, right.
As well.
I think it's a good idea to tell folks, we were just looking at our little folder here that we have, people can list their medications. Really, everybody should carry that around because it lists all your medications, and I think if you're going to call the MassMedLine, it would be a really good idea to have them listed, or, I mean, you could have your bottles in front of you, but make sure you have everything lined up to make it easier if they're calling in to.
Right, exactly. It is very simple. And what else we can do, a lot of people want to look at all of their medications. We're also checking for interactions as well as we're doing this. We might even suggest a lower cost alternative to help you with the cost of your medications. So it's not just, you know, here are the meds. We're also taking a look at all the medications and how they're working and are there other cost alternatives.
That's great. So as you're speaking to the client, you're going right on the computer online and looking up everything. Great.
Correct.
Great. I think there was we had some pictures on the screen that when you were down at St. Stephen's, and I know that you're doing, well, I just want to mention this first, is you can always call Shine counselors also at any of the ASAPs. That's us, Greater Lynn Senior Services, Aging Services Access Point. The Shine counselors are very knowledgeable about everything to know about Part D, hopefully, but it's so nice to have a backup. Wonderful to have you folks. So the Shine counselor, you can reach the Shine counselor at Greater Lynn Senior Services by dialing the main number and just asking for the Shine counselor. We're lucky to have the Shine counselor also in our agency. What are some of the other ways that the pharmacy outreach program can be of assistance? We talked about the interaction with medications, of course.
That's right. Well, we help on many different levels. We can help the individual, like I said, with drug interactions. Are there problems at all that might arise with drug interactions? So we're looking at that. We're checking lists to make certain that there's no drug duplication.
Well, I find that a lot.
Exactly. Because people go to many prescribers. They see specialists, they see a primary care physician, they might see a nurse practitioner.
Right.
All these folks are able to write prescriptions. And so if you don't have your list with you or something, or you might have forgotten to say that you're on a certain medication, there might be some duplication going on there. So it's always good to have a medication checkup, and we are proponents of that.
That's
so every
wonderful.
year you should really have your meds checked. Often people say, well, my physician will do that for me, and that's true. Your physician will do that for you. Your pharmacist can do that for you. Sometimes though, if it's easier just to make a phone call and review with a pharmacist at your leisure, we're able to do that.
Tell us a little bit about, I know when you were down at St. Stephen's, you did some kind of a survey. I don't have that piece of paper right at my hand, but I know you're doing a survey which is about falling.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, falls are multi-component. There's many things that can result in that can cause a fall. It can be your environment. It could be a pet getting in your way. It could be vision or hearing, a type of sensory. It could be that you have poor circulation in your feet and you don't quite have the feeling or sensations of your feet. Many, many different reasons why somebody may fall. But a lot of what people overlook is that medications can also be a part of that puzzle. So part of that is an important aspect in reviewing what people are taking for medications. There is an actual list that was done by a pharmacist. It's called the Beers List, and it lists medications that could potentially cause falls in seniors, especially.
That's a good, yeah.
It is. It's a wonderful list to go by. It doesn't mean that if you're on something on that list, you should not take it.
No,
but you have to think about it. And what a lot of people happens is they might have been on medications for many years. They might have been put on medications when they were in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and now they're seniors, and they think, I've taken that medication all my life. Why would I even need to change it now? But as we also age, our metabolism changes. How much we eliminate from our body changes. How we absorb medications changes. So with that, medications can play a big factor. It may not be that you need to change your medication, but it might be that a lower dose would be a better thing for you. Or something even in the same family might not interact or be better absorbed or not have such difficulty being eliminated from your body. So those are things that we look at. The other component that we want to look at when looking at medications is, one, have you had a bone density checked? We want to make certain that you've talked to your doctor about that. And the other big factor these days is vitamin D. Vitamin D levels.
Oh, we hear this everywhere. In fact, I just started taking it myself.
Right, and they do. It's a major factor that's coming around. We're seeing more and more studies come out that vitamin D deficiency can play a role in and is possibly linked with falls. So what does that mean? It means have a vitamin D level checked. The majority of people in New England are deficient, no matter your age. We are inside half of the year.
At least, right.
Just due to weather purposes.
Right.
And the sun is not as high during 6 months out of the year.
Out of the year, yeah,
so,
that's right.
so in that regard, we're deficient. And then in the summer, what are we doing? We're putting sunblock on our skin.
That's
and
right.
we're not getting the absorption through the sun that way either. So we are deficient, especially in New England.
It's wonderful that they've come up with this now, and it's so easy. So what's the best way for an elder to go about this? If they've heard all about this vitamin D, best to ask the doctor or ask you folks when
they can give us a call. We can certainly review their meds, explain things to them if they would like that. It could be as, on your next appointment with your physician, just ask for a vitamin D level to be checked.
Great.
See
it's
that,
easy enough.
Absolutely.
Easy enough. I wanted to just go over some of the, I kind of found the sheet. If you're going to be meeting with people, this will be in person, right? When you see people in person, or will you be doing this on the phone also?
It's both. When we go and do pharmacy outreach programs, we tend to have this with us because a lot of people don't realize that medication is one of the factors of falls. And in Massachusetts, there's a true push for education on the prevention of falls, just like people now know about cholesterol. Years ago, no one knew about cholesterol.
That's right.
And there was a big push about that. So now the push is about fall prevention, and there's a lot of good in Massachusetts happening around fall prevention. So we took the approach, because we're out at senior centers and visiting with seniors, that we could play an important part in this whole fall prevention. So yes, there's questions here. It's more or less promoting someone's thought process to say, maybe I should have my medications checked. I do take more than 5 medications. I do take medicine for blood pressure or for diabetes. I do take medications to help me sleep. Things like that that can really add to a possible increased risk of a fall. The other important part of fall prevention is exercise and balance exercise. And that can be a big factor for folks as well. So you could be walking regularly and taking a low dose of a medication that might be at a risk for fall, but for you, that may not be a concern because you have good balance, you're taking an appropriate dose.
So isn't it good to have this? This is wonderful to review everything with someone again about their conditions and how things interact with each other, and some good suggestions from you folks, which is wonderful. I'm telling you, I'm going to call you, I know. I have to, because I've got a lot of questions about that Medicare Part D. And I'm sure that we're going to be inundated with phone calls also. I wanted to talk a little bit, and I know folks love to hear the stories. Do you have any stories that were success stories of somebody that, called and all of a sudden you find out, wow, this person's in big trouble with these medications?
Sure. Well, one was actually in an outreach program. We had come and had given a presentation, and after the end of the presentation, we reviewed people's medications who wanted to wait around and have their medications reviewed by a pharmacist. And I was speaking with one woman at the time, and we were going through her medication list, and she was mentioning that she was having difficulties in the afternoon. Her blood glucose was going very low in the afternoon, and she didn't know why. And of course, tying in with falls, your blood levels of your glucose are low. They cause you to be dizzy, lightheaded, and could cause a fall as well. So this ties in very nicely with what we were just talking about.
Right.
Well, she was concerned, and she had actually fallen and could not understand why, her blood glucose was going down so low. When reviewing her medications, we learned that she was taking one of her diabetic oral medications in the middle of the afternoon at a time when she shouldn't have even been taking it. So we moved that dose to the appropriate time of a half hour before she ate instead of in the middle of the afternoon.
Yep.
She called me a week later and thanked me. She felt so much better.
Oh my
and she
God,
wasn't
something
falling.
so small like that.
And it can be that small. And I try to say that to people, that if you have a concern, no matter how small you think it is, it's important. And don't just attribute it to age. Don't think that, oh, I'm lightheaded or dizzy because I'm supposed to be at whatever age I'm at, or tripping or whatever it might be.
It's silly.
It's not.
Right.
It could very well be a medication or just an adjustment that needs to be taken care of.
I mean, wasn't it fortunate that you did talk to her?
Yes.
And it was something so simple.
Right.
I mean, that's the key. It's just, how about any others?
We have had some others as well, just something more cost-wise, where that was more medication-wise.
Boy, that's big.
Something in regards to cost. A lot of people sometimes get stuck in between insurances.
Yes.
And what happens, one example is folks that have Mass Health become 65, they now have Medicare, and they have to pick a Medicare Part D plan.
Right.
And there's some communication sometimes lost there, and they don't get their Medicare Part D plan in place right in time. Or some do, but they're not in the Medicare system properly as being a dual eligible.
Right.
So one woman, again, had called us in regards to that. She was unable to get her medications at the pharmacy because they were charging her full price. She was not covered at that time. We worked with the pharmacy and with the Medicare
plan.
The Medicare plan, and also the Medicare group, the regional group that's in Boston, the Centers for Medicare. And with that group, with all those folks involved, we were able to get her information squared away that she was able to get the medications that she needed.
So important.
It is, because people, if you can't afford your medications, you're not picking them up
get
or
it all
taking
the time.
them. And that's important.
That's very important, and that does happen a lot.
It does, unfortunately.
You know, they don't have the right plan. We're working with a woman now. She doesn't have the right plan. And I believe she didn't join in on Prescription Advantage, which we know is changing. We got that news today. We won't talk about that, but we know it is changing. People will be getting letters in the mail about it. But it's so important to have people join that program also with the Medicare Part D.
It is.
So I'm sure you get those calls too.
If I can take a minute to comment, there's a lot of misconceptions. Prescription Advantage is there. It's still a wonderful program for folks.
Absolutely.
They have had to make some adjustments due to state budgets. There's also another misconception with Prescription Advantage, that you have to have a low income. They actually have many categories of assistance.
Right.
It's often free for the majority of folks who do qualify for Prescription Advantage. And it really, really helps. I cannot say that enough.
I know it, because some people, they just don't know that they had to get into it.
Exactly.
And it causes all kinds of problems when they go to the pharmacy to pick up the meds, and they're not a member of Prescription Advantage. So we try to get, we really have tried to get as many people enrolled in both Prescription Advantage and the Medicare Part D, which the Medicare Part D, it's just wonderful to have you folks available. I mean, we have our Shine counselor, but you know, how much can one person do?
Right. And we're there all year long too, in that if you do have troubles along the way, if you don't understand something with your insurance along the way, because there's different levels of the coverage, whether it be the deductible time or the covered time or the donut hole time.
The donut hole time.
And we're able to help with those different, in understanding your plan better and hopefully getting assistance through
Could you talk just a couple of minutes about the donut hole, because people really cannot understand it as much as we explain it.
Right. And what happens with the Medicare Part D, once the full cost of the medications, not what you have just paid, but the full cost of the medications, what the insurance has paid and what you have paid, has reached, and I believe this year it's for 2010, it's $2,850 if memory serves me right. Once that total has been reached, then you've reached the donut hole. At that point, if you have no other assistance, you will then be responsible for 100% of the cost of the medication, which, as you know, can be very expensive. So that's where Prescription Advantage comes in for assistance.
That's the key.
There's also folks who don't realize that they qualify for extra help through Social Security.
Right.
They also would not experience the
That's
gap or
another
the gap to the
program.
other extent. It is. There are wonderful programs out there. We're lucky to be in Massachusetts.
We are very lucky.
There are a lot of states who don't have these programs, especially like Prescription Advantage, extra help through
Exactly,
Social
the extra
Security
help
is
too.
national.
We really appreciate this program today because there's so much information that we got from it. And the best part is we can call. There's a 1-800 number. We've seen that on the screen several times, but don't worry, we'll find you.
Okay.
You have students too that help out throughout the year?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We have, at the Worcester campus, there's 3 levels of students, the first year, second year, third year. We have an accelerated course there. And first years, we lecture to them. They know about us. They learn what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Third year students rotate with us.
Oh, great.
And they're with us for 6 weeks at a time. They're answering the
we're
phones.
lucky.
They're at outreach with us.
Yeah.
They learn the reality of
Oh,
pharmacy.
the reality of, yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
If you can't afford it, what do you do?
What do you do? That's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. This has been a great program
thank
today.
you so
I'm
much.
so happy that you came and
happy to be here.
talked about this, and especially helping folks get the right price too.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm just thrilled.